Hello YouTube, this is Goddard Radio Moscow here again with another beer review. Now today I have for you another Scottish craft beer. This incidentally will be my first one that comes to you from the Scottish Highlands. This is the Cromarty Brewing Company's Chappy New Wave Pale Ale. Now as is usual with my beer reviews, I'll just take you through a little bit of a history of the brewery and tell you a little bit about the local area of the brewery. But if you are simply just interested in the tasting of this beer, then feel free just to fast forward towards the last few minutes of the video and you will catch that particular segment. But anyway, the Cromarty Brewery is yet another one of the craft breweries that have appeared in Scotland over the last few years. We've had a real boom in Scottish craft beer brewing over the last maybe 10 years or so. But this one's another one that's just popped up within the last few years. This one is only from about 2011, so it's only about 2 and a bit years old now. But this one's located about 20 miles away from Inverness on a small peninsula that's known as the Black Isle. Just for the benefit of those of you watching outside of Scotland, so you know exactly where we're talking about, I always describe Scotland as looking a bit like a monster's head. So on the eastern coast of the Highlands, where the monster starts to get a little bit of a mohawk thing going on, you have a little corner like this in the coastline, and Inverness is located right in the corner here. That's the little water inlet, and that leads down to Loch Ness. But the Black Isle is a little peninsula just to the north of Inverness. It's home to 2 different Scottish craft breweries, one of them called the Black Isle Brewery, which is just in the southern part of the peninsula, and then the Cromarty Brewery is just located up by the village of Cromarty, which is in the northeastern part of that peninsula there. But apparently in this particular area, small-scale home brewing was very popular during the 17th century, and in this period there was a lot of grain grown on local farms, and it would be used for malting for use in ale. But the introduction of the London porters around this period in time actually led to large amounts of the local grain being exported, and this put a considerable strain on local landowners who were actually being encouraged to open up their own breweries at the time on their land. But the original Cromarty Brewery, where this one takes its name from, was established by George and Alexander Ross in 1790, and it's located next to a burn. That's just a small stream of water, the Scottish word for it, but it's located just next to a burn on the eastern extremity of the Cromarty village at the corner of Miller Road and Burnside Place, so you can go and have a look at it if you're in the Highlands. It's a very, very beautiful part of the country, probably one of the most beautiful parts of the country by far, I would say. But this brewery was quite a large brewery considering the times, and it's thought that the port at Cromarty, despite it being a very small village, they thought that it was actually used to export beer as well, in addition to the cereals that the Black Isle area was renowned for producing. But this brewery hit financial difficulties in the 1820s when several whisky distilleries were opening up on the Black Isle, and the brewery apparently ceased operations in the 1850s. There was apparently also reports of people stealing the lead out of the roof in the 1840s as well. It sounds a bit like the modern day Neds that we have. But anyway, this one is a family owned business consisting of Craig, Chap and Jenny Middleton, just to move on to the more recent happenings in the Cromarty Brewery for you today. But Craig Middleton is a graduate of the famous brewing programme at Heriot-Watt University, and as I've mentioned in other videos, this programme has produced a number of brewers for prominent craft brewing companies. The one that springs to mind at the moment is Baldur Karlsson from the Einstök Brewery in Iceland. He was a graduate there, but while studying at Heriot-Watt, Craig had been well known to produce beer in his student halls and flat basements, and after he completed this degree, he worked for a period of time in Odell's Brewery in Colorado, and then the Cairngorm Brewery in Aviemore, which is just a little bit south of Inverness. But while working in these breweries, Craig decided that he wanted to put his own beer on the market, and he applied for grants and bank loans to actually finance the brewery himself. But as I mentioned, the brewery is a family operation. Craig's dad, Chap, is the brewery engineer, and he's quite involved with the maintenance of the brewing equipment, while his mum, Jenny, she deals largely with the admin side of the brewery. She deals with the accounts and the paperwork and all that sort of thing. As I mentioned, this is a very, very new brewery. The work on the building commenced only in the spring of 2011, so the brewery's just probably coming up in the next couple of months for their 3-year birthday. But the year of 2011 was quite hectic for the brewery, and it culminated in the production of the first beer casks on the 19th of December 2011, just in time for Christmas incidentally. But there's a blog on the brewery website. I'll put the link for that in the description, but you can keep up to date with the current goings on at the brewery. It tells you all about their new beers that they're making and their upcoming appearances at beer festivals and stuff like this. But anyway, just to get on to the other beers that the brewery do, each of the different Cromarty beers have a different coloured label on them. But the other beers that they produce that are in their sort of core range, if you like, the year-round availabilities, you have the Brewed Awakening, which has a purple label. This is a coffee-infused stout. You have Red Rocker, which is the red label one. This is described as a red rye hoppy extravaganza. There's Hit the Lip, which has the green label. It's described as fruity hoppy heaven. And there's Rogue Wave, which is a blue labelled extra pale ale. There's also been a few others that I noticed when I flicked through the blog that I think they've only just been produced for tap. One was called the Island Shuffle, and the other was called the Atlantic Drift. They also, incidentally, recently, from reading through the blog, they've produced a collaboration beer with Brewdog over in Aberdeenshire called Black Rocker, and this apparently is brewed by Sarah from the Brewdog bar in Aberdeen. I've met her a few times actually, she's quite nice. But this one is supposed to be a dark version of the Red Rocker beer, and there have been a few other collaboration beers as well. One was called Two Craigs, and the other one was with the Tempest Brewery, which is another Scottish craft brewery that I'll probably review for you at a later date. But anyway, let's get on to the tasting of this beer, just to let you have a little look at the label and stuff like that on this beer. I'll just bring up the camera to make sure you're seeing that. So as you can see, it's got quite a nice design actually. This is the Cromarty Brewing symbol up at the top here. This brewery also have custom bottle caps, which is quite rare for craft breweries actually, I find, in Scotland. A lot of them just have plain bottle caps, so it's quite cool that way. But as you can see, it's quite a nice design on the bottle. It has a bit of a product description on the back. It says, "Congratulations, by picking me up you're already on your way to being a true craft beer believer. I contain absolutely no chemicals, preservatives or cheap nasty ingredients. Instead, I am jam-packed full of quality malts, international hops, Scottish water, and I'm fermented with our own house yeast strain. Unfiltered, unpasteurised and pure. I am a refreshing thirst-quenching pale ale. I am a happy chappy." And it also says, "At the Cromarty Brewing Company, we believe that our passion, enthusiasm and quality beer brewing skills blended with the finest locally and globally sourced ingredients make beer that is truly worth believing." And that's the brewery slogan, incidentally. It says it's made with barley, hops, yeast, wheat, oat and water. On the back it has a best buy date, or a best drink buy date, sorry. This is one's for the 23rd of January 2014. But incidentally, just let's get on with the tasting of this one. This is a 4.1% pale ale. I'll just get this guy opened if I can find my my bottle opener. I don't know where that's gone actually. Oh yeah, it's just hiding behind here. But there we are. It's the first time that's happened to me on one of my beer reviews. I'll just preserve the bottle cap as I like to do with my beers here. I've not made a very good job of that so far, but let's get this guy out and get on with the tasting here. I'll just tell you a little bit about the hops of this one as well. So I can just get this guy out. It's going to have a nice head on it, this one. It's a nice sort of hazy dark golden colour. Swirl up the last little bit. I'll just leave it at that just now. Anyway, but yeah, as I mentioned, this is a 4.1% pale ale. It's hop. Apparently malted with low colour Maris Otter pale, crystal, oats and wheat. Apparently it's malted with, and it's hopped with Columbus Cascade, Nelson Sauvin and Williamette hops. Sorry about the little pause there, my computer just went a bit crazy. I was like, what's going on there? But anyway, the appearance of this one, obviously you can see it's a nice hazy dark golden colour. It's got a nice sort of two-finger head on it, I would say. It's quite a chunky head actually. It's a bit frothy, but there are big bubbles in there. In terms of the aroma, it's quite hoppy on the nose. I'm picking up a lot of the citrus fruits in there, but there is a lemon element. It's mainly lemony citrus actually, but you're getting the grapefruit in there as well, which is what you would expect from the types of hops that are used in this one. But yeah, there's some nice floral and grassy notes to it as well, and you can pick up there's some sort of biscuity elements from the malt and a little bit of mild caramel in there as well. It's got quite a nice nose to it. It's not very kind of pungent, if you like, but if you breathe it in quite deeply, you can pick out a lot of the individual notes of it there. But yeah, this is a really, really nice smelling beer. Let's get on with the taste of this one. This is quite very, very fruity and hoppy in the taste. It's mainly the citrus that's coming out in there, but you're also getting the grapefruit in the background, I would say. But yeah, it's the citrus and the grapefruit are actually... The citrus is the thing that comes up first, and then the grapefruit comes in just a little bit later on. But that's what you would expect from the types of hops that are used in this one. They're apparently imported from Australia and New Zealand according to the brewery website. But yeah, the main things that are coming through in this and the first taste are the citrus, and then that's got a little bit of grapefruit mixed into it. There is a little hint of grassiness that's just mixed quite well into the fruit flavours there. But at the end, when the malt flavours develop a bit more, you're picking up the biscuity malt, and there's a good bit of hoppy bitterness on the finish of this one. This is a nice pale ale, this one. As I say, you get the quite strong fruity character out of it, nice mix of the citrus and grapefruit, citrus and tropical fruits I should maybe describe it as. The grassy notes are just blended in with it well. The malt flavours come in a little bit later on, as I say, and then you've got a nice sort of blast of hoppy bitterness at the end. In terms of the mouthfeel, this is quite, I would say this is a sort of light to medium bodied beer. There's a little bit of an oily mouthfeel to this one. It's quite nice. It's a very, very sessionable beer. It's very, very drinkable. And it's got quite a crisp element to it. You can feel the carbonation in it a little bit. As I say, it's not too visible in this one. There are quite a few bubbles sort of bobbling about, very small ones. But it's actually quite masked by the haziness of it. But this is a very sort of crisp, sessionable beer. It's very easy drinking, as I say, light to medium bodied, but I really like this one actually. I'm very impressed with this one so far. It's the thing, I keep hearing that the Scottish beers are going to a lot of these beer festivals, and they're doing very, very well. They taste very good compared to a lot of other craft beers. So this is another craft brewery that seems to be doing a very, very good job, and I will definitely be reviewing some of their other stuff for you at a later date. But yeah, if you're into your pale ales, definitely give this one a try. I'm not quite sure how widely available they are outside of the UK. I know that you can get them on cask in the London area, so maybe they're starting to move into more international distribution these days. But this is definitely worth trying if you're quite into your pale ale styles. It's another good example of Scottish craft beer, a really enjoyable one. But anyway, I hope this beer review has been informative for you. I've had a little bit of technical difficulty with this one. I don't know what was going on with my computer earlier, but I hope it's been informative for you, and thanks for watching. If you haven't already, please consider subscribing to the channel. If you've tried this beer already, please let me know in the comments section your own thoughts on this beer. But as usual, please consider subscribe, like, share, all the usual YouTube stuff. But you've been watching Goddard Radio Moscow. Thanks again, and I shall catch you soon with another beer review. Cheers.